Hello students, welcome to the program Bachelor of Arts first year, subject Psychology, semester 1, paper title Child Psychology. I am Professor Maria Fatima de Costa and I will be presenting to you on the topic Prenatal Development and Stages from Unit 1, Introduction and Early Beginning of Life, Module number 3. The outline of the presentation is prenatal development, germinal period, embryonic period, and fetal period. At the end of today's class, you will be able to describe the changes that occur during prenatal development as well as outline the stages of development. So let's begin with what is prenatal development. Prenatal development can be understood as a process by which a baby develops inside the mother's womb. It begins with fertilization and it ends with birth. Fertilization happens at conception when a single sperm cell from the male unites with an ovum or the egg in the female. Prenatal development is divided into 3 periods. These include the germinal period, the embryonic period, and the fetal period. The duration of the prenatal development is about 38 to 40 weeks. Prenatal development is further organized into 3 equal trimesters. Kindly note that these trimesters do not correspond to the 3 stages of development. So now we will look at each of the stages of prenatal development in a little more detail. The first is the germinal period. This period begins at conception and it lasts up to 2 weeks. It includes the creation of the fertilized egg, which is now called as the zygote. During this period, there is rapid cell division and this process is called as mitosis. A mass of cells is formed called the blastocyst, which is divided into inner and outer layer of cells. The inner mass of cells is the embryonic disc. This goes on further to develop into the embryo. The outer layer of cells that covers the embryo is called as the trophoblast, and the important function of the trophoblast is to provide both nutrition and support for the growing embryo. An important function that happens during this stage is implantation, that is, the process by which the zygote attaches itself to the uterine wall. And this procedure occurs 11 to 15 days after conception. Now we look at the embryonic period. This period begins at 3rd week after conception and it lasts up to 8 weeks. The mass of cells is now called an embryo. Cell division, which began in the germinal period, now begins to intensify, and there are 3 layers of cells that are formed. These are the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. The endoderm is the inner layer of cells which changes into the digestive and the respiratory systems, while the mesoderm is the middle layer of cells which becomes the circulatory system, the bones, the muscles, excretory and reproductory system, while the ectoderm, which is the outermost layer of cells, changes into the nervous system, sensory receptors and skin parts. Important life support systems are also formed during this period. These include the amnion, the umbilical cord, and the placenta. So what's the amnion? It is a bag which contains amniotic fluid in which the embryo floats. It is shock-proof and it controls both the temperature and humidity of the baby's environment. The umbilical cord consists of 2 arteries and 1 vein which connects the baby to the placenta. While the placenta is a group of tissues containing both mother and baby's intertwined blood vessels. The function of the placenta is to provide oxygen and nutrients to the growing baby. It also removes waste products from the baby's blood. In this figure, you will see the three life support systems, that is the placenta, the umbilical cord, and the amniotic sac. Another important process that occurs during this period is called organogenesis. It is the beginning of the appearance of the organs. The eyes, heart, arms, and legs, as well as the face and intestinal tract begin to form. The embryo now is approximately 1 inch in length and it weighs about 4 grams. It can move and respond to touch. It is during this period that the organism is considered to be most vulnerable to damage on exposure to any harmful substances. We now look at the last period of development, and that is the fetal period. This period begins at the 4th week after conception and it lasts until birth. The fetus now is about 3 inches long and it weighs about 28 grams. There is rapid growth and change during this time, and the organism is now called as the fetus. The fetus is very active, and therefore it is during this time that the mother can now begin to feel the movement of the baby. External genitals can be identified, which leads to sex differentiation. Reflexes also begin to develop, like the sucking reflex, swallowing, and hiccups. The fetus shows a particular preference for a position in the womb. Fat layers under the skin begin to develop. An important function of these fat layers is to provide insulation and help the baby regulate both body temperature after birth. Kindly note, this is the longest period of prenatal development. The baby has a first chance of survival outside the womb, and so it is called as the age of viability, which happens at about 24 weeks. The fetus continues to grow in length and weight until it reaches full-term delivery. We have now come to the end of today's presentation. You can refer to the books on child development by J.W. Santrock and child development by Ellie Burke for future references. Thank you.